Now we're going to go over pivot tables and the slicer feature specifically. If you don't use pivot tables, you should really take a look at them. They are they're very handy, although they're not very intuitive. It takes a little bit of practice. Pivot tables actually could be their own course. So if you don't use them, I'm going to build one real fast to kind of show you where they come from and how they exist. But Microsoft has added a slicer tool, and it kind of helps with the filtering. So let's go ahead, and I have a table here, an HR table that shows why employees are missing and who they're working for. So let's go ahead and choose the table, and we're going to go to the Insert tab and insert Pivot Table. We do have it selected. We're going to put it on a new worksheet, so I'm going to hit OK. So we're going to have the report filters be the department and the supervisor. So I'm just going to drag and drop those down there. Our row label is going to be the absence date. I'm going to go ahead and group these. If you right mouse click on it, you can come down here to group and do months and then days. So it kind of makes it a little bit easier on the eyes right there. And our column labels is going to be the reason. And lastly, our summation values will be the count of employees that are missing. Okay, so you can see here that as I was pulling these down to the respective fields, that this table was populating on its own. So we're able to choose how this table is filtered. So if I'm looking for just the accounting absences, I can see when they're occurring and how many. But I do know from my table that I have two accounting supervisors. One's name is Burns, the other one is Snow. So if I go back, I can filter these by just Burns employees. If you're working at a large company, you may not know specifically who the supervisors are, but with this slicer tool, it's going to do it for you. So let's go back to all and all here. Actually, let's just go back and delete these, because the slicer tool is basically a report filter, but more of a visual tool. So I have the table selected, so I have my context sensitive tabs pulled up, which is Pivot Table Tools Options. So I come down here to Insert Slicer, choose that, and I'm going to choose Department and Supervisor. Hit OK. You can see this pane closes, and now I have two smaller windows. And these two smaller windows here are, like I said, they're graphical representations of the filters we just had gotten rid of. So I'm going to Shift Select and click on Department, and now I have two of them. And if I want it to look nice, I can align these by the top. I can also size them if I don't want them taking up too much room. Move that one over here. And also, we can stylize them. So if you see here, let me go with that one. Alright, so now if I want to filter this table, if I choose accounting, it shows over here that Burns and Snow are my two supervisors. Notice the other three are kind of dimmed, showing you that they're not relative to accounting. And if I click on sales, I can see that Durham and Wright are my supervisors here. All the while, now that you've noticed this, come over here and watch the table as I change these. This is brilliant, actually. And what happens if you... Right now I have Durham selected in accounting, but since Durham is not my supervisor in accounting, my table shows nothing. So this is quite intuitive. It's a lot easier than what it used to be, and pivot tables are a very, very powerful tool. If I had a lot of these selected, I could just hit the clear filter and get rid of everything, and now I'm back to showing all data. Let's see, what else is there I wanted to show you? I think that's about it. The more data that you're working with, the more applicable pivot tables are. It's a lot easier than having a bunch of different charts. It's a lot easier than filtering each column and then having to go back and unfilter and trying to figure out what's hidden in your tables and what's not currently. So this slicer tools for pivot tables really have simplified the pivot table. And like I said earlier, if you don't use them, please take a look at them because they are very useful.